I'm very tired. I'm very tired. I wish that I could not be tired, but I am. Okay, so it's the middle of the apocalypse and you need a new bed. Here's how to set it up in 6 easy steps. Step 1 is getting the right kind of bed for your needs. It has to be a lofted bed because you need to fit a desk under it, since your office is also your bedroom. It's probably not healthy to mix your personal and work spaces like this, but square footage is limited, rent is high, and just because it's Armageddon, that's no excuse to not get on that grind. The go-to here is IKEA because of their wide variety of affordable furniture. You walk through the showroom full of other people who are also casually ignoring that doomsday is nigh, and you daydream about a fictional future where you get to be a homeowner, something your parents just kind of assumed happened to people at some point. You find one that fits your needs, make note of the aisle and bin numbers, go down to the warehouse, and immediately realize that you can't fit it in your car. So you go home, get online, and order it for delivery. But the act of having to take a moment to order it starts getting you wondering about why it's so hard to find lofted beds in adult sizes. Should I be embarrassed by the fact that I'm a fully grown adult using a lofted bed? Should I be embarrassed about the fact that I think I should be embarrassed? Is the true mark of maturity being able to accept yourself regardless of what other people think? Oh god, California is on fire half the time, and I'm worried about whether or not my bed makes me a grown-up. The great cataclysm is nearly upon us, and my biggest concern is that a person in my brain I made up is disappointed in me. Then you remember that you don't have time to care about any of that because you need a place to work just as much as you need a place to sleep, and the only way to make both those things happen is to buy a bed that causes an existential crisis. Step 2. Break down your old bed. Now you might have no idea how to break down the old bed, so just keep pushing on places until something comes loose. If nothing seems to budge, and you're not entirely sure how this thing was even put together in the first place, don't worry. If you just keep pushing on stuff, eventually something will start to move and you'll be golden. Yes! Just remember, when in doubt, push and shout. About now is probably when the rains will be settling in, so it's time for step 3. Do a quick survey and see how the end times are coming along. Let's check it out. It's wet. Step 4 is an important one. Collect the delivery you ordered a few days ago. You didn't know that the rains were going to be upon us when you first placed the order, but you still feel bad being even indirectly involved in making the delivery person work during this time. It hasn't gotten bad yet, but it still feels wrong for them to be working at all right now. You take some solace in the knowledge that they're being paid for their effort, but you can't shake the feeling that if you have to work during the apocalypse in order to get the money necessary to stay alive through it, then you can't really consider that work voluntary, can you? You ignore this nagging feeling by getting back to work. Step 5. Take the pieces out of their boxes and prepare to set up the bed. Pointedly ignore the parts of the instructions that tell you to get a partner because the eschaton is not the time to admit you need help. The storm should be getting worse about now, so internet is going to be spotty, but you'll probably be able to get through well enough to have YouTube on while you work. The YouTube videos are important because they allow you to feel like you aren't alone. You could be genuinely not alone if you just asked someone to come help you, but it's easier to just deal with the negative aspects of being alone than it is to admit you're not a burden on other people just by asking for their assistance. Do you think the heavy rainfall did anything to help mitigate the fires? I hope so. I can't believe we messed up the environment so much that we're relying on one gigantic weather problem to cancel out another one. Anyway, because it's Ragnarok, a hurricane isn't enough. About now is when a 5.1 magnitude earthquake will decide to hit, causing your entire setup to fall down. Step 6. This is the part where you finally realize that this is impossible to do on your own, and that asking someone else for help might make you feel like a burden, but it doesn't make you a burden. In fact, you'll probably find out that it gives everyone else a chance to feel helpful, and you all get to share in each other's company. Honestly, this was the only time that I wasn't completely overcome with dread about the possible oncoming worldwide annihilation. I think to some extent we were all scared, but we were all still able to help each other in accomplishing a bigger task. You know, as far as we know, this is the first time in the history of the world where a species was capable of predicting its own extinction. And we can use this ability to dread the oncoming reckoning, or we can use this ability to stop it. The end of the world isn't the time to be alone. Step 7. Lie down on your new bed and recover because you hurt yourself like a dozen times.
Ah, mother!
What body of water are you fishing in?
Yeah, I'm fine.